or otherwise employed within the Crow tribe. Well, I can understand the Crow tribe one, but I don't understand the other ones because a lot of people work for the VIA, IHS, and all those kind of things. So that's like half of Pryor gone right there. And a lot of people go into buildings and work. So that part I was like, you know about that part.
Just to interject, I think we already have an agreement on that. We had a discussion on that and consensus that, yeah, that's probably too much.
And then I guess I could understand, I mean, I'm not for crime or anything, but there's a misdemeanor section on there too. I mean, that's kind of like, you know, people make mistakes because there's a lot of alcohol around and there's a lot of drugs, and I think that's kind of getting, I mean, I understand the fraud part, but I don't know.
Civil is
what's gonna, oh, civil? Yeah, or criminal, it says civil or criminal. So then who are we gonna have serve on the board?
I know you have somebody picked because we're all this already.
Because the low rent, you live there the rest of your life, you'll never own it. The mutual help.
Right now, talking about no rents there. Well, I do cheap land housings every year, 5 to 6 million. Okay. And no rents there, you can like, instead of like keep fixing them and fixing them and fixing them, bother storage. Then I have to try it. Ways then was after so many years, then tenants maybe 7, maybe 9, maybe 11 years down the road, they can pay it up, and then what do we go less pog, go on the bullish, and the husky be real green. Was all holly, new families that gestorget dann. Wie gedaan, die glasmoezee gezet. Also, back time. And when last year, I mean, hele story, you know.
Roger with this site, and he was already, what was that journey, that we to go with Roger. Yeah, you already told that. And then we work at the house and back then. So we only even though there's including payments, but yet it was turned over to this.
That's ongoing right now. To release some of the money, because the base Irish to go, and the Polish or Hushtoff culture, it's always been a need for that house, and always, because some of these houses are what, 35 years old, 40 years old, and they're still working on them. And just falling apart, forget, you know, just throwing money together.
The only ones that are maintained are low rent in general. The mutual health ones are maintained by owners.
Refrigerators, houses, they do a renewal or something, maybe roofs, replace the roof. Repayment. Yeah, and that money could have been used elsewhere, just convey it and boom.
Well, they're being conveyed right now. They're being conveyed anything over 25 years old.
Right. Yes, I've been.
Every year we go to Blacktree Reservation, they have brand new housing, and there's so much housing now that I was like, where did they build this? And they're like, yeah, those are new. There's a set of, they made long homes too. Man, they're really beautiful. That a girl said, do you want to see her? She just got blessed with a new home. And I said, yeah, I'll check out your house. So they had a family with 3 kids, and the service up there was nice. We kind of grew up and set up housing, and it's like getting to the mountains and where they're building.
Probably that's, unless we add it inside the policy or. Ja, we hebben logic, also wenn gut percentage gedem. Kolozak. Babem. Na bale samnik. Maiuștile vici săranik. Do abeș. Bădiș bala jeligo. Na balem. Kolozak. Apa ligo. Ega mahu uzaj ko ma abdi kat pozate. И нищила касателно. И лавет тигиогем when it changes place, lage even schwache dale. And push up by you, so then hopefully.
So how is this new ordinance gonna do all of that? 'Cause, I mean, that all is good, it's all good, but this new ordinance is really general, and to me, it's like, well, how is it gonna do that? I mean, let's look at the Blackfeet. What are they doing that we're not doing? Maybe their people are paying rent and our people aren't. Same with like Northern China, and they give you housing. What I hear, the big difference is their people are paying and we're not. And in Aga, they try to get per cap and people get mad. But I was like, go to Billings, you pay $600 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, and here some people don't even pay $200 or they pay that.
Our ceiling is $250. Nobody will ever pay more than $250.
Yeah.
And the lowest is $30. Someone could turn and research and they have no income. Or if they're getting like Social Security or TANF, their rent will go from $30 to $60. And this is a big deal. Everyone's saying, why aren't you guys building houses? We can't get people to pay this rent. The only way, it's only 15%. Any other place, Billings is 25%, 30%. We're trying to make people understand. And then as pro-people, our downfall is we can't we can't throw them out because there are old people. And then the kids, then they're talking about drugs, but it's like there are our kids we're gonna, we don't throw them out, we're gonna get them out. That's not
Right
but,
now,
okay, great, I hope they can drive new cars, but no, we can't pay our rent. We hear a lot of that.
Yeah, and that's why the meaning of all this is to get the input, so we can build it up. Right now, maybe it's a skeleton, but it's up to us to build it up. That's why we having these hearings in each district. It's different in all districts. Our concerns, their concerns, they're totally different. And that's why we want to conduct this one here, so, you guys, what you talked about, your comments, we can add that. And that's why we're here, is to build it up. Let's make it strong. Let's make it how we want it,
I wanted to hear what he did like about this. I mean, you're our brains, and why should we have to go through all this outside thing when that's what you're hired for us to do?
In general, okay, just generally speaking, Daryl, you're be all right if I just stay seated? Generally speaking, I just thought that this one was drafted in a vacuum. There was no housing people involved in this. I wasn't involved in this. Nobody with housing experience or expertise was involved in this, to my knowledge. It was drafted by because it was brought to the floor by one of the senators, who the legislature is responsible for drafting laws for the pro-tribe, and this would be one of the laws for the pro-tribe. So, legislatures can bring the laws that they want to the floor, and all the other legislatures will consider it, and then maybe amend it, send it to committee, and eventually it'll end up a law or not. And right now, this one's still in that process, so it's not even, we're not down towards the end yet. But because of that, there's a lot of things, just standard, legal drafting. If you have an existing law that needs to be updated, most of the time, and I'm not saying this is all the time, you would try to find what's not working or what needs to be improved, and then update it or improve it. Not completely, this completely repeals and replaces the entire housing authority. And I don't know what effect that'll have on the existing partnerships that the housing authority has currently. We've got this low-income housing tax credit project. Will the employment ID number stay the same, for tax purposes? There's just a lot of things that I think weren't considered prior to this coming out. So that was the first kind of just general blanket issue with it. And then beyond that, there are just some things that I think conflict, actually, instead of being consistent and conforming with our Constitution, conflict with our Constitution. And those, I think, can be easily worked out in committee, but, I think those probably should have happened prior to, generally what will happen is if there's a law that's being drafted, and say it involves, or regarding transportation, or Indian reservation roads, most legislatures are very good about bringing in transportation people to help draft that law and ask them, what do you guys think about this? How does this look to you? Is this going to affect our federal funding at all? Things like that. And that just didn't happen. So before it was brought out. So it's happening.
So is that what's happening with a lot of the laws and whatever, that they just like to start from scratch rather than take one and update the one that, is that what the legislature's doing now?
I honestly don't know about that. I don't,
Is that how they spend their time?
this is the law that I'm aware of.
Right? Is that what you guys do? Usually you take what's old and then look at it, and like you said, and that's the normal, and you research, and you look at programs that are working, and you say, hey, let's take the good part of that, let's put it into this, not just do a whole brand new document, so that's why I was trying to say, well, what exactly is the difference? I see some things that I have to go through and start highlighting and figure out. There's a lot of, you're asking me to do a lot of stuff that I think that they already should have been done. You know what I'm saying? As a voter and whatever.
Yeah.
Try. But so I guess that's kind of my 2 cents, that I think they should take the whole one and improve on that, not try to do a brand new one.
When we did submit one, which is an updated version, a proposed updated version of the existing ordinance, that's been submitted, and it's apparently going to be brought up in our next committee meeting. We're not bringing that out. That wasn't voted to go to the community, so just this one was. So that's the one that you guys will get to see.
So how long do you think it would take to complete this and pass it and put it into law?
Yeah, maybe after, this is the first hearing, you guys are just now getting aware of the first one, so this is the first time looking at it, and you guys can think about it, you might have different questions, or, a better way of doing it, and then at the next meeting, we'll come closer, we'll have a committee meeting, and then maybe we'll get our approval at that committee meeting to present it on the floor, and it's just the process of, making it right, like the first time, instead of trying to go back and, we forgot this, make it strong enough, so it has teeth, so we can, really use it.
So that you guys going around doing district input, are you guys going to be doing this like every month, annually, or just a one-time thing?
No, I don't know, we'll talk about it in committee, but I think, go ahead.
What times are your constitutional district,
Should
so.
we, yeah.
And that can also be included in that quarterly district quarterly.
And to remind everybody, every committee meeting we have is open to the public. Every time we have a housing meeting, committee meeting, you guys can come in and sit in on it, give us your input.
So you guys have meetings already, again?
How long are you guys gonna be on the legislature, how many years? What if you have meetings after meetings after meeting, and then you're replaced, and a new guy comes in and they have a whole new idea, and then they have a whole new something going on, and then it'll have more meetings after meetings?
Yeah, we've got, we already kind of been through that. Before I became a senator, I've been pushing the building codes. I've been pushing it to my senators in the district. And it was always, you know, in the back burner. They didn't want to talk about it, you know, like they didn't even want to, you know, entertain it in committee or whatever. But then, you know, I got it off the back burner, pushed it, and got it passed. It's the interest of the individual that's elected, that's in there, that, you know, whatever his interests are, you know, pursue it. It's like, you know, it's up to the senators, you know, and then it's up to you guys. If you guys want a law pushed past, you know, you'll tell us and we'll move forward with it. But then, is it the right time to do it? Are other districts affected by it? You know, and that's how we go about it. It's like, no, building codes, when I wanted to entertain it, I brought out the bad things that were happening without inspections, proper inspections. We had people burning their house, houses caught on fire, and, you know, like different housing problems, you know, because we had no inspectors for all these houses. And that's how I kind of got everybody's attention, because I brought out from this district, this what happened to your district and your district and your district. And then I got all their attention, then I moved forward with it.
How come there's no training from each district to have an inspector, for inspection?
Yeah, that's.
You have someone here.
Yeah, like legislature, we'll create the law, but then it's up to the executive. Do they have enough funding to enforce that law? And that's the number one thing, is enforcement. You know, like, we'll create it, but then executive is it.
So it's like you guys, you take this for a while, and then these guys say, no, it's you guys' turn, you carry this for a while. And it's kind of going back and forth without that.
No, we just create it and we give it to them, it becomes law. And do we have enough funding? And then the number one answer is always, okay, should we take away the old folks' money to enforce this law? What are the old folks gonna say? You know, it kind of turns political. And that's, you know, we gotta look for more funding, we gotta get more grants, but then I don't wanna set my boundaries, you know?
Senator,
Yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate on, that issue came up last night. In this new ordinance, we're asking for transparency in the budget of the housing. There was a little bit of confusion on whether or not this is going to go into the general fund. Currently, under the Fiscal Management Act, we have some litigation between the branches that is on the cusp of being settled. And so the way the ordinance is written, it doesn't mean that this is going to be commingled with any general funds budget. So we wouldn't be in the position where we're taken from the elders so we could do this. So this is going to be totally separate. But in this ordinance, it would be reflected as a document under the FMA on how it's spent. And that's the transparency of the FMA, but there is no opportunity for it to commingle with the general fund like that. So you wouldn't be in that position to do that. And then I just also wanted to add that I think we were in agreement that this probably should have come out a little bit later after I had some work up on it in the committees. However, there are some items that I want you to be aware of that cannot be decided by the lawyers, and that's actually unethical. There's a line that we should not be crossing, and those are political decisions, and those are decisions that are owned by the people and your representatives. And one of them is how your board is picked. The attorneys should not be having any input except the legal advice on, at a minimum. So the board, the people that represent you for this housing ordinance, that's a political decision, and that you own that decision. And so there's some topics in there that are very valuable if the community can give that information into the ordinance. So there's definitely a line where the legal team is going to be working in committee to hash out the specifics of what we need to according to the law, but there are some topics here that need to remain with the people, and we need that input, which will be valuable. So, and one of them is how we're selecting the board, how long is their terms, what are their eligibility, what's their duties, and we can offer up a little bit to that and say, okay, here's some options, but ultimately that decision is owned by the people or your representatives. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear, because we don't want to we don't want lawyers drafting an ordinance that's, here it is, here's the whole package, either yes or no. We want to have at least some input on the areas where we should be involved. So, but I do think we should have been down the road a little bit more, and so it doesn't look too general, or we probably should have some more inclusive language according to what's legally required under the amendment. So.
1968, I was just young. I went to the housing and got an application and applied for it. And then over the years, I kept renewing my application. In 1974, I got married. Me and my wife would go sleep outside the housing. In 1979, I was given the place I live in now. Over the years, I kept thinking one day on my phone, here, along the way, I didn't want to look for help, low income, and according to Veronica, I'm never going to own that house. I've been living there 37 years. And that's home, and me and my family were, she said, I'm never going to live there, own it.
Nope, that's the way it was written, so you're never gonna own it. So that's why I think there should be programs that will help him get a house that he can own to be his own house.
And years ago, Henry Rexall was working there. He said, look for the chairman and he signs it for you, go to Hudson, Denver. And then he almost went to jail for embezzling that house. And then everybody was there, except these houses are yours. Now, that gives the people that are living there, and then, I know that you paper of ownership, and then all the things. They got embezzling money from housing or something, you have to be dismissed. And she said, it's sad, it's like, I never done that house. Is there any way that these people deserve to look on their place like me? The people up there, one time on houses on the other hand, they're okay, they don't have to do something, they're okay. It's on the other hand, they can't be too like somebody like me. I'm never going to own that house. It hurts real bad. I'm disabled person. I talk to this country.
Yeah, would you like pay rent?
People at the housing home, somebody said we have a power commissioner that they houses to live there. It's not what people need. It works that way. It's toxic. And some of these families, Well, now, because of, but you yourself, your name was there, actually, was going to be given a house. And you was going to able to a house. You don't know what happened to that kid. Every time somebody's there, they're going to get a house. That's not fair for other people, younger generations. They're rather don't have houses. Right. You can convert those into ownership. Yeah, that's an incentive for an individual to own that home. You can convert it, pay it off, and then the other thing too, once it's paid off, it doesn't say anything in here about what he's talking about. And once that home is converted and you pay it off, I spoke to OIG's helping buildings, and they said, if you pay it off and convert it and pay it off, housing is supposed to come in, remodel it. And that was about 2 years ago when I paid mine off. Housing just simply ignored me.
Yeah.
Okay, that is called MIPA.
Yeah, me.
When these houses are given to you, you're paying 90 or 250. You own this house within 25 years if you pay 250. But majority is only paying that admin fee, which is $95. So nothing's going to MIPA. MIPA is like a savings. You're paying your house, but some of it's going into MIPA. So at the end of this 25 years, you're gonna have the savings where you can fix this house. Yeah, I know all about yours. I know.
I already got that.
Yeah.
But, under the OIG and housing, we're saying that, we make it clarify for everybody here, that they have to come in and remodel everything.
No, if you have no MIPA, we don't have to. MIPA is your equity, and if you don't have no equity, then there's nothing we
Then
can do
what
for
we're
you.
saying is Nita is wrong, and then, or Dylan's OIG, from Denver, you're saying is wrong.
TJ did come, and we worked with TJ
And he
very
explained it.
strongly. I mean,
We didn't understand what MIPA was either.
and we all had to sit down with her. Even TJ did, and we got at least a 3-day course on exactly mutual, MIPA.
That's what the people need right now.
And low rentals cannot be converted to mutuals anymore. That stopped in 96 or 98. The last time we did that, they will not do it anymore. HUD got rid of the program.
We asked about it. We asked about it beforehand because we knew he was a veteran, and we did look. They did come and explain that. That whole row was given the option, and they took it. But like someone like my dad, for example, he doesn't really comprehend stuff. They must do that well, because as poor people, that's some of the problem too. Back then, when they must do that, you can own this if you do this, or you used to they didn't really understand what was going on, and that was one of the problems. You see all of that whole road is owned already. They own them because they're given the option of owning it. But we looked into it when he asked us that same question, how come I'm never gonna own this? And they know he's at.
They ended it.
They ended it in 96. They started the mutual and but that option to turn your low rental into a mutual is like 94 to 96. And then mind you, they weren't the only ones at the time. They were chosen. They were chosen by your executive officials.
And the year the houses were built,
No, it was just the executive officials who chose those certain few houses that got converted from low rentals to mutuals. And the one thing, we do know you guys have a lot of concerns about drugs, alcohol, violence. Dogs, cats.
jump cars.
I'm gonna